There's a slight difference between present and voting. If a delegate says present and voting at the beginning of the session, this delegate cannot be abstained during the voting procedure.
Pierre China,
Present.
Russia,
Present and voting.
Bangladesh,
Present.
In general, the committee starts with opening speeches at the first session of the conference. In opening speeches, you should focus on the general issues that you will discuss upon, and the point is to state your country's policy on the topic.
and we will entertain one more opening speech. Any delegates wishing to give a speech? Egypt, you may move on. You also have 1.5 minutes. You may start.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair and dear delegates, the delegation of Egypt is really pleased to being a part of this committee. We know that child laboring is mentally, physically, and socially dangerous and harmful to the children. Also, it interferes with their schooling by depriving them of the opportunity to attend school. With being aware of this, we as Egypt are ready to do what it takes for preventing child laboring. Thank you.
In the general speakers list, delegates have 90 seconds to deliver their speeches. During that time, delegates may talk about the agenda in general.
So, delegate of Brazil, you are the first in the general speakers list. You again have 1.5 minutes for delivering a general speech about the topic that we have. You may start when you're ready.
Thank you, distinguished chair. So, delegates, fellow delegates, and distinguished chair, today we're here to talk about one of the biggest and one of the most significant problems of our world. It's child labor, and most specifically, preventing the worst forms of it. And we would like to start by saying that child labor is so significant for all of the countries, because basically child labor happens every day, everywhere, every second, and the worst forms of it comes everywhere as well. And even though we say that we don't have any child labor, we cannot make 100% sure that we can't have any child labor. So we have to be applying some programs in order to stop it as countries. And as Brazil, we can say that since 1995, we've been applying Bolsa Familia, which is translated into a family allowance program. We've been applying it for almost 25 years, and it's been decreasing the child labor extremely and tremendously. And we would like to suggest every single country to do the same. It's basically based on funding the impoverished countries in order to make them sure that they're sending their children to the schools rather than sending them to the workplaces or like employment places. So we're making sure that they do that. And if they do not do that, and if they just like if they don't make sure that their
Please
children
your concluding remarks.
Okay. So basically we cut their fundings if they do not do these sort of plans. And we would like to suggest every single country to do the same. Thanks for listening to me.
Ordinarily, in physical conferences, delegates raise their placards in order to be recognized. But in online platforms, each committee board has its own methods to recognize the delegates.
Egypt, I believe you. Brazil, I've added you. United States.
Basically, motion is a specified subtitle of the agenda item. Do not forget to specify the total and individual speaking time while raising a motion.
Motion to have a moderated caucus in order to discuss upon main reasons of child labor, total time being 5 minutes, individual speaking time being 1 minute.
In-person conferences, delegates who support this motion should shout as second, and the ones who don't wish should shout as objection when the chairperson asks for it. Even if there is one objection for the given motion, the chairperson moves on asking in favor and against votes and counts placards.
If there are any objections, you will be raising your hand from the participants' part. And I will be counting to 5. Okay, if there aren't any, that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we don't have any objections. So now we are in a moderated caucus about the main reasons of child labor.
In GSS speeches, the delegates do not have to use all their time. There are 3 options to do with the remaining time. Delegates may yield the remaining time to another delegate, to the committee board, or open themselves for point of information. Opening themselves for point of information actually means accepting questions from the other delegates.
People have their faith in their religion and traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. You have 10 seconds left. What would you like to do with your remaining time?
I would like to yield the floor, Chair.
That's perfectly in order.
While raising motion, delegates should also specify the type of the caucus. Moderated caucus is a discussion format that managing by the chairperson. There is also the unmoderated caucus. In general, the purpose of this caucus is to work on documents such as draft resolution or working paper. Delegates may leave their seats and talk directly to each other in unmoderated caucuses. Basically, points are formal ways to ask a question or make a request. There are 4 kinds of points, which are point of parliamentary inquiry, point of information, point of order, and point of personal privilege. Point of information is aimed to get information about the agenda item or the current topic. Point of parliamentary inquiry is for asking questions about the procedure. Point of order is to correct the chairperson if there are any mistakes. But be careful. If you're not sure about the existence of a procedural mistake made by chairperson, you can raise the point of parliamentary inquiry instead. And lastly, point of personal privilege is for personal requests such as turning off the air conditioning.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Yes, United Kingdom.
The individual speaking time was 1 minute.
Yes, you're ready, and Delegate spoke for 1.5 minutes. Yes, I made a mistake there. You're right. Chair stands corrected about the mistake. Also, like maybe using a point of order might be better for that because I made the apparent mistake here. Thank you.
In the roll call voting, the chairperson asks all the delegates their votes one by one. There are 6 options: yes, no, yes with rights, no with rights, pass, or abstain. Yes or no with rights can be stated when a delegate votes against his or her country's policy.
Starting with Bangladesh. You can.
Yes.
Yeah.
No with rights.
Okay, you may start when you're ready.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say that since we mentioned in our resolution paper that we want to collab with ECOSOC for a fund, and you called it as an international fund, but we don't think that this is an international issue, so we just give no for that. Thank you.
Adjournment of the meeting is a specific motion to end the conference. It's only used at the very last session of the conference. The other specific motion in order to have a break is suspension of the meeting.
Resolution passes, and we are waiting for specific motions since our debate and our committee is now finished. I'm stopping sharing my screen because I want to see you guys. Delegate of China.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
That's perfectly in order. Do we have any objections? Like if we have any objections, you are using the participants part. Any objections? Do we have any objections? Okay, so since we don't have any objections, our committee is finished. Thank you all for participating. I had a great time debating with you and meeting you guys. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.